Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Kensthetic, and I'm here with you guys today with a new video. As you guys can see, we have a special guest.
Hi guys, it's Ndeye.
Ndeye story time video, because in case you guys don't know, Ndeye and I know each other from college. Ndeye and I went to Binghamton University together, and we were actually housemates. We lived in a house of 8 girls. Yes, 8 females.
Ocho. Numero ocho, okay?
And we just want to reflect on some experiences that we had and lessons learned. So we decided to do this little story time to give y'all a little tea, a little lesson, and all of that. And yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Before we get started, do not forget to subscribe to my channel as well as Ndeye's channel. Her link will be in the description box down below. And if you guys like this video, give it a big thumbs up. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So this is just one side, this is one segment of this video. If you want to see the other part of this video, then head over to Ndeye's channel. Her link will be down below, and watch her video so that you can get the complete story. You can get all of the lessons. And
alright, so before we get started with like how we decided to live together, I went to Binghamton University, and so did Kendra. My major was political science. I was involved in BSU, and the year that we actually lived together, I was the president of the Black Student Union.
And I was the president of Burt Mitchell Minority Management Organization, as well as the National Association of Black Accountants.
So like one of the things that was kind of special about our house is that most of the people that lived there were also the president of their organization. So we ended up calling ourselves the White House, or as we call the people, La Casa Blanca, because most of the people that lived in our house were the president of the organization. So I feel like one of the things we did really well was surrounding ourselves with like other people on campus that were involved in organizations. Because if you're going to a school and you're not involved in an organization, you definitely have much more time. Whereas like when you have a role like president, or when you're doing anything on a student org, a lot of your time is going to be taken up. You're going to be tired. You're going to have things to do, places to be. So I feel like we did a good job with like picking that aspect of like people who were also going to be busy.
Yeah. But
how did we start living in this house?
So Ndeye was 1 year older than me. So the year that you were a senior and I was a junior, one of
It's okay, Danisha. I feel like she wouldn't have a problem with it.
Danisha.
Danisha, we're saying your name.
So Ndeye and Danisha lived together their junior year. So when they were moving into their senior year, I was speaking to Danisha, and we were both looking for off-campus houses. And Danisha and I wanted to go and be sneaky, and we went to see this house, and it was basically one house with 2 sides, and each side had like its own living room, 3 bedrooms, a kitchen, a bath, and everything. But we were like, oh my god, what about if I take the 3 people I'm trying to live with and we go on one side of the house, and then Danisha takes the 3 people she's trying to live with and go on the other side of the house, and we'll just be living next door to each other. And landlord,
but like when we say next door, the apartments or the houses were connected.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a door that could lock and close and like separate you guys, but that door was open. So it's like even though it was 4 and 4, it was really
8.
like 8.
Yeah. The reason we ended up living there was because Danisha and I wanted to be sneaky. And it was a good and a bad thing, so I don't feel like too guilty about it, you know?
Yeah, I feel like when I first heard that we were going to be living all together, I was like, oh, it's about to be lit, like it's gonna be turned up. Like I was so excited just because I'm like, I'm cool with y'all, I'm cool with this group. Like I was excited about it, but in the back of my head I was also like, dang, like 8 people is a lot. So we already broken up this video into like different things. So we already talked about how we decided to live in the house together. So one of the things that I guess was affected in us living together was friendships. So with me personally, one of the people, so in the house of 8, we're not going to say their names, and we also want to make the disclaimer, this is not a tea video. This is not to bash anyone. This is not to bash people. This is more so educational and just like sharing our life stories with you guys. Sharing our life stories with you guys, and also like giving you advice. And I think it was a good experience as far as like what we learned. So the first thing that we learned, okay, was know who you're going to live with. That's lesson 1. Know who you are going to live with. And I feel like even me now in my roommate situation, what I've seen is like when you live with people, you get to really see who they are away from the outside world. When you outside, when you have friends that you just see outside of the apartment. You don't know what their living condition is like. You don't know how they really feel. You don't know a lot of things. So I feel like once you move in with someone, there's a connection that's there. And if you don't really know them, you're going to have a lot of problems.
I agree. I definitely agree. I definitely agree. I feel like before you choose who you want to live with, you need to make sure that, one, you're actually friends with these people, because you're going to be living in the same space as them. You never know like what motives people have or anything like that. And I feel like a home is a sacred place. It's a sacred place, and you don't want to ever like pollute that with like bad energy or bad people or bad vibes. So I definitely think that it's very, very, very important that you know who you're gonna live with before you live with them. A lot of people say like you learn about people when you live with them, and you don't ever want that to be like a situation or the sole purpose or the sole reason you get to know somebody. So just make sure you know who you live with before you live with them.
And I think a good way to like start off with that is when you first move in with somebody, regardless if they are your friends or not, you need to set rules as far as like
and boundaries.
Rules and boundaries as far as like what you require or what you need in your space, just so that there's no confusion. So definitely, like, if you're moving in with people, have a conversation about like what it is that you require in your space and explain to people who you are as a person.
So the next lesson learned while we were living with 8 girls is cleaning. Being clean, I think that feeds off of you, like having expectations and boundaries around cleaning situations and cleanliness around the house. I think that the fact that we lived with 8 girls and it was 4 on one side and 4 on the other side. Why do you look so scared? I don't know what's about to come out her mouth.
That's really what I'm thinking. What is she about to say? Honestly.
Oh, I think the fact that we had like 2 separate kitchens was better than us having one kitchen with 8 girls.
Absolutely.
And we also had 4 bathrooms. We had 2 upstairs and then 2 downstairs. So I think that the fact that we had like separate like kitchens and the fact that we had like 4 bathrooms kind of helped. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. But I think that, how do you think cleaning was in our house?
Honestly, I feel like the first thing when it comes to like cleaning is understanding cultural differences and also housing, like how people lived before they came to college.
And how they were raised.
Because, and that's not like to say like a negative thing, but it's more so like that's something that comes into a factor because let's say for example for me, I didn't grow up where it was like the dishes have to be cleaned before you go to bed. It was more so like you can't go more than a day or 2 without cleaning the dishes, but it's also like there were so many people in my house where it's just like you could wash a dish and then 5 minutes later there's going to be another dish in the sink. So I feel like that going into a house and with other people, I wanted to be considerate, so I thought of that, but it's like also at the same time, it wasn't a strict rule in my house. Dishes have to be cleaned before you go to bed. So I feel like you need to think about like what people live like outside of where they're living with you now, and that's why I think you need to discuss it moving like before you move forward. So even with my roommate now, we have a thing where it's just like we try to clean the dishes before we go to bed. We try to take out the garbage every night, just because living in New York City there's a lot of animals. We don't want them in our house. Like we don't want roaches, we don't want mice, and it's just like it feels good when you wake up in the morning and there's a dish that's like clean. But I do feel like the fact that we had 2 kitchens and multiple bathrooms, it definitely helped. But then it also made it difficult because it's like you're consistently also cleaning too. So I don't know, I feel like with cleanliness you need to have a conversation up forward of like up front about what you require living with someone so that you guys can all get an understanding. And don't feel like if you be too specific you're doing too much. No, tell them dishes need to be cleaned by 11 p.m. Garbage needs to be out by 8 p.m. Like set those hard rules so that there's no way for there to be miscommunication when it comes to like living with somebody.
I agree. And I also think that it's important to have like check-ins. Like we used to do house meetings like once a month. We used to do house meetings like once a month, but I mean it wasn't always productive. It wasn't always productive. It didn't always serve its purpose. But I think that the fact that we connected as a house once a month helped. Just to say like, you know, do you have anything to get off your chest? Because we were all presidents, we were never really home like that. So like us all being in one space at one time, like you had the opportunity to like say whatever you needed to say to whoever. So I definitely think there needs to be like regular check-ins, even if things are going fine and like the dishes are clean at 11 p.m. and your laundry is out the washing machine by the time
that was another thing. Was there only one washing machine downstairs?
There was 1 washer, 1 dryer.
So imagine 1 washer, 1 dryer, 8 people.
So
many people in relationships, and so it's just like
so it's 6. Not 16.
Not 16, but you know, like I got a lot of people involved in the situation, so it's just like 1 dryer and everybody wanted to do laundry the same day, it was a lot.
Do the math.
It was a lot. So I almost forgot about that.
Yeah.
Like, it was a struggle. And the washer, we didn't even talk about that. It was in some weird basement that was like halfway done, mad dusty. Okay. So the next thing is going to be space. And I feel like you would think that with 8 people, everybody has their own room. It's like cool. But I feel like what you might forget is like there's 1 living room or 2 living rooms on each side. But we only had the TV on one side. So it was like 1 living room, sorry, I live in Brooklyn. So it was like 1 living room and then 1, I guess, like lounge space. And I feel like when you're living with people, one of the things that you really want to think about is like how is space being allocated and like just everyone feeling comfortable. Because let's say, for example, I'm in the living room and I'm doing my homework, but somebody want to come and watch TV.
Yeah.
Now there's like a off thing on who gets the space. So I feel like having designated areas for certain things. So like instead of doing my work in the area where the TV was, going into the other side where there was no TV, where it was just the dining table, doing work there. But as far as space, I felt like I had space. But what I did also learn is that living with a lot of people, you never really get personal space because there's always someone home. If you live with like 2 or 3 people, go ahead. Because I hear you. I know you about to speak.
I feel like also what we should have done is like do like, I don't want to say quiet hours, but have like during finals, it was like some people's majors didn't require them to like, you know, study for exams. It was just like, you know, you do your papers.
Like mine. I just had papers. I did not have any finals for the most part.
So people like Ndeye would want to, you know, party and turn up while the rest of us are studying for finals. I think we did have like that communication to say like, oh, I have a test or I'm staying on campus overnight. Like, it wasn't really a problem when it came to like studying, I feel, or like quiet time. Yeah,
and I feel like a lot of what we did, we had a group chat. I think it was on GroupMe, but I feel like if there was ever a time where somebody needed quiet, they'd be like, can you turn the music down and just texting it. So I feel like that's also good as like communicating when you do need that quiet time or when you do need that space. Because I feel like everyone was pretty much like, for the most part, understanding of like what the people needed. Unless there was issues where we had like miscommunication or when they like I'm gonna be real, there was time when people have beef and it's just like in those moments you want to be petty. It's very easy to be petty. It's much harder to be the bigger person, especially when we're all young. They used to call me petty prez. I was petty. I grew out of it, but it's just like the reality is like I'm being honest, like, because I feel like in a lot of these story times when they're talking about like college horror roommate stories, they always make the other person out to be evil. And I feel like realistically, if you grow, you realize that there's things that both parties could have done to be better. So I feel like communication is a 2-way street, and I feel like when you're frustrated with somebody, it's very easy to like not take their request seriously. But in a perfect situation, you will live with people where it's just like because they care for you, they're going to want to be considerate of you, your space, your quiet time, your need to do work or whatever, and they're gonna support you in that by doing what they gotta do. But as far as space, I don't know.
I think that was space. It was kind of hard too because since we were all like presidents.
Food sales. My gosh.
Food sales. I don't know if y'all college do, but we used to do food sales. Binghamton, if you're watching this, mind your business. But we used to do food sales, so it was like if one organization had a food sale, it would take like both kitchens to cook, just because you know you're baking things, you're boiling things, you're prepping food. So it was like if I wanted to meal prep for the week, I would have to take that into consideration because it was like I knew that Ndeye and her org needed the kitchen for like that Tuesday night when I wanted to meal prep, so I just had to.
Another org needed. It wasn't me. It wasn't just me.
And everybody was wanting to do their food sales back to back.
Right. All of us would want to do food sales. And it's like because we were the president of the org. A lot of time when you're the president of the organization, it falls on you to get certain things done. So it's like
a lot of things done. If
I have a food sale, Kendra have a food sale, Donasia have a food sale, we all have food sales. Most likely it's gonna be cooked at our house because we're also probably the only 2 people on that org that have access to 2 kitchens, meaning that it could be done quicker. So I feel like that was definitely a big thing. And also like if you have like people from your organization want to come over, like in my org we did certain things called socials. I don't think we ever did socials. Did we ever do socials at the house?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we never really did socials there, so that wasn't an issue. But definitely when we were all trying to cook for the org, it was a lot. So if you're living with people that's going to be in an organization, I feel like the onus is on the person that's going to be having the people from the org come over that day. It's your responsibility to communicate with everybody that you're going to be using the kitchen. And it's your responsibility to make sure that like everyone in your house feels comfortable enough to know just because your org is in there doesn't mean that I can't come into the kitchen where I pay rent. So I feel like communication. communication.
The next topic was relationships and privacy.
Okay, for this part, we're gonna do part 2. We don't know who's gonna have part 1 or who's gonna have part 2, but go to the other person's channel to see the rest of the video.
Link down below.